So let's sit and grow. It's gonna be a good show.
Yo, what's good? It's your boy Lo, man, and I'm excited to be back for another episode of The World According to Lo. Shout out to everybody pulling up, man. I see these analytics going up. Y'all loving the real, authentic content. And man, today, I promise you, don't you dare change, bro, because I got something special coming to the conversation today, to the pod. But first, hey, if you don't know me, my name is Aloysius Ballard. I am an award-winning creative director, filmmaker, creative connoisseur of people. That's what I do, man. Creativity is in my blood, and I don't apologize for it. And because of that, I get to meet a lot of great people, a lot of great, interesting people, and we're going to get to meet one of those people today. But not only are they just a creative, they also my family. So let's welcome to the stage, to the podcast. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, man, I'm not nobody, man. No, man, look. Our Tiff McCarter, man. Hey, that's it. That's all.
Now, if you don't know, this is my Uncle Tiff. And, man, he popped into town today, so I had to take advantage of him being here. Now, let's talk about it real quick. Why you in town, man?
Hey, man, I'm in town for one reason and one reason only. It's a Blue Devil weekend. Okay, I'm sorry. I apologize.
So the Final Four is here in
Final Four
town,
is here.
in New Orleans.
In New Orleans, and came down to support the guys. Well, you know, we come down with them. And, hey, man, we're looking forward to having a good time. It's a great matchup. It's the biggest matchup in the history that people are saying, and I believe it too. So there's no way I couldn't be here.
Now, I want to, I always like to give full context. Y'all know I'm a storyteller. I'm big on stories. Now, you have an affiliation with one of the teams in this tournament, but it didn't start in the Final Four tournament. It started earlier than this. Let's talk about, number one, how did you even end up being affiliated with Duke?
Wow. Well, man, honestly, I'm just like anybody else, man. I've always been a fan of Duke. I've always loved Duke basketball. You got to take me back 30 years ago. So, I can go back to the old school guys, the Gene Banks, Jaminski, and all those guys back then, man. Of course, the Johnny Dawkins, the Grant Hills, and everything, man. And then one day, one of my favorite players, probably my most favorite player, honestly, and it just happened to happen like this guy named Nolan Smith. So, and I don't know if you want to go into all that, though, man.
Well, we get it. You develop relationships.
Yeah.
And I talk about this all the time. How you treat people outside of public view really opens doors to a lot of situations that you wouldn't normally be able to buy your way into.
Oh, no doubt. And that's what happened to me. How I met Nolan, that got me into the part where I actually started being a part of Duke was I moved to Durham, started pastoring a church in Durham, and the radio station started this big thing called Pastor of the Month.
Yeah.
The very first one. So it was huge. Man, it was like, oh, man, every pastor in the city.
Whole city.
In the entire city of Raleigh and Durham. So everybody was like, they want to be the pastor. I mean, if you get to know me, I'm not the kind of guy that's really like to shine. As much as it might look something like I'm flashy, but that's not me. And, man, I ended up winning the contest.
Yeah.
My members were going crazy, just voting, and it's a public contest. They voted, and I won Pastor of the Month. And what they would do, they always came to your church to present the award to you.
Yeah.
And they surprised me. A guy, member of my church named Raheem Wilson, he knew another guy that knew Nolan. He works in car sales. And, man, they came and presented the award, and they brought Nolan Smith with them, who was playing for Duke.
Yeah.
And our relationship kicked off from that day. And that's been well over 11, 12 years ago.
Now, let's dig a little deeper because now, you've introduced the fact of you being a pastor in the city of Raleigh, Durham at the time. Now, you're not the typical pastor.
Well, what do you mean by that, man? I mean,
Now
what's
let's
up
talk
with
about it. Like you're not the I want to be in a suit every day. You'll rock some J's. You got the hat backwards half the time. You dress down, still swagged out, but you got a little vibe. Your vibe is a little more of the unconventional look of what people would associate with a pastor. But since I've known you, I've always known you to be a person of the people. You will talk to someone with no degree, someone who's millionaires. It don't matter the spectrum. You vibe with people the same way, top to bottom. Do you feel like that is something that has attributed to your ability to be able to walk in a lot of different circles and to still add value?
Oh yeah, I totally agree to that, man. Let me tell you this, man. I and forgive me if I have this little voice, a little cold. I got a little cough. I'm COVID free, boosted.
You
boosted.
good?
I got the booster plus. And that's the difference with me. Hold on. I have to call my man back. Lenny Williams is calling me, man. Old school Lenny.
Old school Lenny.
I'm gonna hit him back. Hey, bro, let me hit you right back. I'm doing a podcast right quick, man.
Okay, yes, sir.
All right. Well, cool, man. Listen, that's just what it is.
Yeah.
Man. So, man, I grew up in the church.
Yeah.
I always have. I don't think there's nothing wrong with the suits. I got to the place, man, where I just decided just to be me.
Yeah.
And I really believe in what they always said about the church. If it's come as you are, come as you are. If a suit is what you like, that's what you do. Sometimes I'll pull out a suit, but man, I just like to be me. Some people say I'm trying to be a 50-year-old dude, 54-year-old dude trying to be a 30-year-old guy. It's not even the case.
Yeah.
I mean, this is just who I am. So, hey.
So I want to. All right, let's dig into it because I see the story shifting a bit, right? Mm-hmm. So let's talk about state of religion in today.
Sure.
Like, I just want your perspective because when you look at the story of what religion has been, some people say, hey, this is a subject matter that was made up. With the history of black people, some people say, hey, man, white people created Christianity to keep black people in a certain place. Yeah. Certain thing is not our religion. It's not we want. Yeah. So
it's a lot.
In today, there's a lot of different opinions. Everybody is factual or can dress up the story of what's what in their own light. How do you navigate sharing the gospel or just Jesus in so many different, with so many different perspectives coming at people today?
I think the most important part to understand about Jesus Christ, he was always relevant himself.
Yeah.
I think we've preached or read or even taught the Bible from a perspective where we didn't put ourselves even in the context of a text. So when, the preacher stands up there and they give you something in the Bible, excuse me, they give you something in the Bible, what's a familiar story? David, Goliath.
Yeah.
And the pastors, we stand up there and they'll teach you from the perspective, he killed him and he killed him with a rock. Well, the thing about it is you got to make that and bring that into the perspective of what's a giant in people's lives now.
Yeah.
How do you do it? How do you kill that? How do you use a rock to kill your giant? So you have to take that and understand that the Bible really was written in metaphors. So you're able to interpret it and bring it to where people are. And if you're able to make it relevant to where they are now we're able to bridge that gap into the fact of, I still believe there's only one God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. And I never compromise my relationship and who I know Jesus Christ is, but yet still make it relevant in this day and this time.
So then how does one navigate what is man-made rules and regulations or what is authentically your ability to live in this world and still have a real, true relationship with God? Because some people say that, you know, you can't do things, you can't get tattoos, you can't get, you know, you can't
tattoos.
drink, you can't have a glass of wine, all these things. But, you know, how does one realize what's what?
Man, to be honest with you, man, I just don't believe God is that petty. just be honest with you. I think we get into the pettiness of life and worried about what people do, how they do it, when in reality, this is what I say all the time. The church is the first place that's so ready to send people to hell. I've never understood that. I think that's some bull. Like, I just think, what's our purpose? Our purpose is to present a living Christ, a risen Christ to people, and just to present his love for this entire world. The Bible says it.
Yeah.
For God so loved the world that he gave his son. So if we present Christ and present his love, all these other things they really become petty. I have no judgment to an individual at all. Why? Because here's how I look at it. The Bible says, when he was teaching the disciples about praying, he says, you got to learn how to forgive as you forgive those who even trespass against you. See, people just take that into forgiveness. What about grace?
Yeah.
The same grace you want is the same grace you need to give. Do unto others as you have them to do unto you. See, they don't break that down like that. But I give people grace because at the end of the day, I need much grace myself.
So let's look at a little deeper dive, right? So in today's culture, we're seeing a lot more people with mental issues and stress and frustrations. Do you feel like there's a correlation or there's some type of dotted line that directly correlates to the absence of belief in God and our relationships, like our ancestors who endured far more heinous scenarios, the racism, all of these things, but they mentally were able to stand and still raise generations and generations, where now you see that a lot of people attest that the mental capacity of us today are a lot more fragile.
Oh, this is what we have to understand. The generation that we live in now are much more fragile than the generation that a lot of us grew up in. Now, this is going to probably cross the lines on some people. This is going to probably touch the religious people in a different way. I take therapy even to this day. I think there's a balance of my therapy, but watch this. But is he a wonderful counselor? Yes, he is.
Yeah.
Is he a Prince of Peace? Yes, he is. But I also have one that's on earth that I can just dialogue with and be able to share these things with, where I cannot be so spiritually sounded, but yet not be earthly grounded.
I like that.
And that's where and I just did that in the last year and a half. And now, man, let me tell you what has happened to me with my therapy. I've become so comfortable with me.
Yeah.
My therapist has helped me understand more of who my God is without even saying it in the perspective of how I would say it.
Wow. You don't hear that coming from a preacher or pulpits often these days.
Oh, no.
Number one, where a pastor is saying, utilize therapy on earth to help you be whole. Like, that, to me, is such a profound statement, because a lot of times people will suffer in silence just to make sure, like, other people's perceptions of them, you know, are what we expect from when it comes to our belief in God. So, you know, using that notion there, I want to ask you, why aren't you doing more content where you're talking about these type of things? You know, I'm a storyteller, so I got to push you.
Hey, you know, man, this is so transparent. And you can't ask me some question. Put it like this. I say to my church all the time, you can't invite me in and ask me to leave my personality out.
Wow.
So my personality is very transparent, which kind of it goes a long way with individuals, but it also gets me in somewhat of trouble because they don't expect this from what they call a pastor, a preacher, a leader of my sort. When you look at where we are in the state of where the church is, where I really believe we have to take this whole thing is as we have to walk in authenticity and transparency. We have lied to the people in the perspective of saying things of the sort, this year's gonna be your year. When we say that, we have to really break that down.
Yeah.
Because when COVID hit, we also said this was gonna be your year. Now, tell some people that have gone through some major things that's going to be their year. How is it their year when all those things happen to them? So I think we got to be able to be authentic and say, it was tough. We walked a line that we were taught. And a lot of times we walk in traditions that we are taught, and we believe the traditions only because they were given to us by somebody that loved us. And we feel like because they loved us, all traditions are right.
So then you are now walking in circles where you are helping, or you're being trusted to help shape the spiritual beings of future influential people. Are you taking this process and this mindset into those conversations?
One, what's so funny about this, I tell people this all the time. This is biblical and this is spiritual. This is the principles of the Bible. What I'm doing now, I was doing it before I got the role.
Yeah.
I've always done this. I've always been a spiritual coach. I've always been a people person. I've been afforded the opportunity to be called the Duke men's basketball pastor of this season through Nolan Smith, one of the players named A.J. Griffin, who's a very strong Christian of the team. And my job is to just give them encouragement and give them hope. Because here's what a lot of these people don't see with these guys. These guys are living lives where their basketball is the bulk of their life.
Yeah.
They don't have time to go to church every Sunday like we do. See, and that's where we mess up. So a lot of these guys grew up traveling. They're doing this. But God has afforded an opportunity where even on a Friday night before the games, we're sitting behind the scenes in the back room having a 20 to 30-minute Bible study. That's church. That's their relationship with God. And I'm just using this time to be as instrumental as possible to carry out the assignment as long as it's available for me to carry out.
Now I have to play devil's advocate here.
Sure.
Because a lot of people would say that's not God. Those boys need to make time. If you can make time for basketball, you can make time to come to church.
Sure. That's the religious side of it. Because who made church just on Sunday? I mean, literally, I understand what they're saying, but this is their time. Their travel schedules, their things are different, actually. And the reality of it is this: they're getting a personal encounter. They're able to sit down and have these conversations. And what I do, and it's not just on that Friday night, man, I send them Bible studies via text, break it down, and I correlate it to where it matches the basketball skill.
Yeah.
I mean, it's different things. I can go in my telephone. You ought to see all the Bible studies. I might be like, hey, man, the 1-3-1. I was talking to my brother, Pastor McCarter, Carlton, like the 1-3-1. It's a defense that works from the the whole full court press to where it's just a zone.
Yeah.
I said, but the 1-3-1 represents a cross. So as long as you stay connected to the cross, and notice that as that thing stretches out, it's the way Christ stretched out his love for each and every one of you. So that kind of stuff is how I break it down to them, and they're like, wow, thank you.
That's good.
So it's relatable to them.
Now, do you feel like, because we're coming out of what is probably one of the most monumental moments in mankind. The pandemic was something I don't think anybody in the history of man had ever seen to this scope. It changed a lot of things. It made a lot of things have to be adaptable, including church and religion and things of that nature. Do you feel like these tools are now embedded in what ministry or, servitude as far as churches are involved with media? You're saying you're sending texts and Bible study through different means of communications that is not the traditional sense. How do you see this still playing a role in the future?
Man, I'm gonna say something that's gonna be very bold. If you don't embrace it, you're not gonna have a church, period.
Wow.
And I know there'll be some guys that don't agree with me. I know some guys who are close to me that don't agree. Church will never be the same. I don't think it will ever be the same. So here's the thing that I've been saying that very a lot. How can you demonize all this technology, but when the government shut the churches down, you utilized it? So then when you come out of it, now you demonize it. Which one is it going to be? Yeah. I think what I've been trying to concentrate in my setting is I'm trying to get my in-person to match my online.
Wow.
That's what I am trying to concentrate on. Like, I'm trying to spend the money strictly on technology so we can be able to match. So as much as you're getting in person, I need to give that same energy off to the people who are saying, hey, Bishop McCarter, I love you. Really like you, but you know what? I'm not coming back in the sanctuary. And we have to embrace and wrap our minds around that, because it's different for me.
Yeah.
Man, I'm used to a huge crowd. I'm used to rocking. And I'm even in a season now where I've even changed my style of ministry. I've had to change it. Now, I am an entertainer. I love music.
Now let's talk about it. You have a history. You're an artist. Have written endless amount of songs. I mean, as far as just being a creative, you've always done that. Culinary. I mean, there's nothing you can't put your hands on and not be successful. What's your plan going forward now with so much content, so many opportunities presenting themselves, being able to touch lives and have these things that could be transparent, like you mentioned earlier? What's your plan going forward?
I'm trying to make sure I get the people around me that has this kind of knowledge, as in yourself.
Yeah.
I want to get you guys around me to help broaden me. Because don't get this twisted. I'm still old school, trying to turn new school. Here's what I'm aware of with myself. I have a young vibe. Man. I'm 54, I'll be 55 this year. But my vibe is, to myself, I might be misleading myself, it's probably around 30, 35, like the vibe, like energy-wise. But I recognize I still don't. I'm not trying to go and pastor another 10 to 15 years.
Yeah.
Bro, I'm 54. I'm trying to get out of this thing now and just start doing some other things, marketing, like the podcasting, just doing the technology piece. Because pastoring is outside of those walls, man. So I'm actually starting some businesses. Me and my son, I'm trying to train my sons and daughters to where they could be very marketable themselves.
Yeah.
That's where I'm really trying to push towards.
Oh, I like that. I know, like you know, in our conversations off camera, you know, you have some great ideas, some great things that you
Controversial ideas.
controversial to some. I would say to some.
Yeah.
And I, my granddad used to always say, like, the only people scared of the light are the people hiding something in the dark. So,
Ooh, I like that.
yeah. So I don't think that's why I say controversial to some, because to others, it's their reality. Like, you know, I talk about it all the time. My sister got pregnant when we were young.
Yeah.
And I saw a different side of the ministry that we grew up in. Like,
on.
people who swore that they loved her, people who swore that they would die and protect her, became the people who hurt her the most. And from that, it always left a stain with me that people are only as loyal as you are comfortable to them. And we put titles on things that are not authentic and, like you said, transparent and true. And I think we're living in a world now where a lot of people are seeing otherwise. A lot of people are seeing that true colors are coming out and being seen.
Yeah.
So for someone, because I like to leave on a good note, for someone that's watching or listening that's saying, hey, man, like, I've been struggling with this. I've been struggling with understanding if I really do have a relationship with God, because so many people say I have so many other things that aren't the definition of what a true believer is or a lover of God is.
Yeah.
What would you say to them?
Man, I got a lot to say to them, but I'm gonna keep it spiritual. No, I just play with you. I say again, Matthew 7:1 says, "Judge not, you be not judged." I don't. I say to my church and to people all the time, there is no parental manual to parenting.
Yeah.
I want to be able to say when Christ saved us, he saved everybody, but he saved different types of Christians. It's only one Christian, but he saved all of us from some things. Where I am with this whole Christianity piece, your relationship is within you. I can never be the judge of that, because here's the thing. The only person that knows you better than you is you.
That's good.
The only person that knows you better than you. That's why I'm never moved when people, I'm humbled about all the accolades and people like, oh my God, you're doing this. I thank you for being this person. I know me better than anybody. So I know on my best day, I still don't even have it together. But because of the grace of God, I'm still able to walk in the light. I'm still able to be that born-again believer.
Yeah.
And it can't be judged by someone else who lives in the same thing that I live in, and that thing is called flesh. So I just tell them, look, be you. Be authentically you, and he can handle you. Because watch this. If he made you, guess what? He know what he made.
I like that. Be you. He knows you.
Yeah.
Don't worry about nobody else. That's how I hear it.
Yeah.
Nobody else can judge. Nobody else can do these things. Yeah. So, you know, hopefully this is added value. Tell the people where they can find you online. How can they connect? If they want to watch a service or just want to connect with you, period, how can they do so?
All my social media is the same. Tiff McCarter 67 on Instagram, and then you can go to my Tiff McCarter on Facebook. You know, I got to learn all those little handles, man. I'm old, man. My church is the City NC on all the social media platforms. They're all the same. So you can always find us there. You'll see so much content. Well, let's not say content. You'll see some of everything on my page. My grandkids. I'm going to let y'all have. Here's what I've said. My therapist told me this. I owe you honesty, but I don't owe you everything. And what she was saying to me was, you can share with them whatever you choose, but you don't have to give them everything. You can let them decipher what they want.
I don't think that's a bet. That's probably one of the greatest things I've heard. So yeah, you can share. You know, you owe. It's give me that again.
I owe you honesty.
I owe you honesty,
but I don't owe you everything.
But I don't owe you everything. Wow. I think we all can live by that on all of our platforms. Yeah. Some things don't have to be shared.
I don't have to share it.
I like that. Now, I appreciate you coming on, man. We enjoyed having you. You got to come back. We got to get some more content. We got to get you in this content game, man.
You got to help me out.
Yeah, I'm going on record here saying, man, I got you back.
Please, man,
people need this, man. Like, you know, like I said, I'm a firm believer in mental health. I believe that people struggle, so like I said earlier, silently when you don't have to. Some things you do need therapy about.
Sure.
Holding stuff in only harms us and weakens us. It's a lot of toxic people walking around, man, and trying to pretend that they aren't. But we're going to give you some help. Hope you know the world according to Low. I'm big on people becoming the best versions of yourself. And it's not defined by anybody else but you. So thank y'all for tuning in today. Make sure you follow me if you want to go support. You can always go to my website, aloysiusballard.com. Hit that Patreon tab and sign up, man. You can start out at $5 a month. That's something you throw away in the trash. You probably got it in the cushion of your car. Something, man. Help your boy keep making content like this. Bringing you amazing guests like this. And until next time, man, peace.
Peace.